A defensive position that can unleash your team's attacking abilities. It's the halfback. Welcome in, folks. Welcome back to the channel. First of all, thanks for watching the previous Know Your Roles video. If you haven't seen it yet, it's about the Mezzala. It's gone down really well, so thank you for that. We're going to get onto the halfback very shortly. We are eking our way slowly to 4,000 subscribers, so thank you if you've already subbed. If you haven't, please consider doing so. Let's get to the video now, all about the halfback. Okay then, what is the halfback? So we've got him loaded up there in the formation. It's just a generic gegenpress for the minute, but he fits in well, and let's have a look at the explanation of the role. So as we go over to him, you can see I've got Fabinho in there, and that's very important why I've got Fabinho in there. We'll click onto the role and we can see what the game says about him. The halfback serves somewhere between an aggressive sweeper and a defensive midfielder, so that means he's going to drop a bit further back than a normal defensive midfielder would. So he's dropping deeper, picking up the ball off the two centre backs, providing a bit of extra cover as well. So that's Football Manager's description of the role. Like we did for the Mezzala video, I'm going to flip it now over to another scene where we're going to look at a few players from today's real life football that can play that role. Okay, the three players I've earmarked, and it's important to remember that the halfback role may not be their favoured role, but it's one that can all do really well. Fabinho, who will feature today, can also sit in at centre back, which is absolutely vital, and he's got the physical presence and mental attributes perfect for the role. Fernandinho, slightly different, not as physically dominant as Fabinho, but very capable of dropping back and starting movements. And Sergio Busquets, again, got all the physicals, all the technical ability in the world. He's probably more of a deep line playmaker, but he can definitely do this role. So there's three different players who can do the halfback role, all a little bit different, but all very capable of doing that role. Let me know down below your halfbacks you've used in the past or ones you recommend. It's always good to hear. But for now, what formations would we want to use a halfback in? We go back to the 4-3-3 I laid out at the start, and it's one of the ideal formations to use a halfback in. If you're going to use a halfback, you want to use it when your wing backs are going to be super aggressive and you're going to look to them to start movements and be a creative force. So that's why I said at the start of the video that your halfback is a defensive position and role that can really help your attacking play. You can see in this example we've got our halfback here in Fabinho. Remember that I said he was ideal for the role. When we click on him, the reason he's ideal for the role is because a halfback covers the centre back positions as well. Now if you think about a centre back, you're thinking of your positioning, your heading, your concentration, your anticipation, all things that Fabinho here has. There's a quick snapshot. We'll go into more detail later on in the video. When we have the ball, your halfback is going to offer an easy little pass for someone and he'll just keep it moving fast to the more creative players, all the while allowing wing backs left and wing backs right to bomb on, safe in the knowledge they've got a bit more cover. Now if the move breaks down, you'll see your halfback drop in between the two centre backs, allowing centre backs to cover the wider areas as well. Which means for a 4-3-3, it's pretty much ideal because you can turn your defensive looking 4-3-3 to a much more aggressive one. When you've got the ball, your wing backs are going to play more up there and you're basically looking at a 3-4-3. So knowing that and knowing the halfback is going to offer us extra protection when we're going forward, there's a few different formations that I feel like it'd be good in, and here they are. The diamond formation, allowing your wing backs to bomb up and down the flanks. Fabinho covers very much like the 4-3-3, but because it's much more narrow system, he really is going to drop into there a lot more in defence, creating something of a 5, and in attack you're looking at, again, a variation of a 3-4-3. This flows nicely into a 4-3-3 setup where you can have the three strikers out and out, so even more aggressive than a standard 4-3-3. Again, wing backs bombing up the pitch just like that, in possession, halfback dropping into cover. You've got yourself a 3-4-3 that is super aggressive. And finally, just to get a bit more creative and a bit more aggressive from your starting positions, you could push your players that little bit higher for games that you're either chasing a goal or you're super confident of winning. So your wing backs start that little bit higher, meaning your halfback will probably stay a bit more defensive minded, but your starter positions there going to allow your wing backs to get really far forward and brings in all sorts of attacking options. One of the reasons I love this game is each role and selection you make affects the other roles. So when you start a halfback, your wing backs already aggressive now are even more aggressive thanks to the halfback. So I've been bigging up the halfback this whole video, right? But when would you not use a halfback? And there is some cases when you shouldn't use one. The first one is when you've got two players in front of him that are really aggressive attacking players, such as Mezzala's. It could be central midfielders on attack. Bear in mind, these players are going to spend most of their time up here, so a little bit higher up, like that. your halfback's going to sit and chill. So you're going to have a bit of a gap in between your players. Now this can work in direct systems, but if you're playing short passing, it's going to lead to the halfback getting a bit marooned. So this gap might be a bit exposed. You can see the analysis tab there. That's where the problems come in. When you're using a diamond formation with a halfback, think about the roles that'll link up with him. If they're both aggressive and they're going to leave him, he's going to be too deep to factor in this area. So that's something to think about. Three at the back systems. When you're playing a three at the back system, I don't think there's a need for a halfback. You're already covered back there. When your wing backs bomb on, you've got three centre backs already covering the gaps. Your halfback dropping in again is just going to confuse matters. You can use him a little bit more aggressively. If you want to use a DM position, there's better roles you can use him for. One where he can affect the game a little higher up but still maintaining a deep base, such as a deep line playmaker or a ball with midfielder. A halfback, he's not needed to drop back. If you're looking for someone to do a bit of a sweeping up role, an aggressive sweeping up role, and you're playing a back three, you're much better off using a libero, whichever way you want to say it. He can then bring the ball out of there. Your halfback can be a different role. So at the start of the video, I showed you some real life examples of players I believe are good in the halfback role. But what about in game? And what attributes are we looking for our perfect halfback? Well, he's in the thumbnail, so we better focus on him, right? Fabinho, for me, the perfect halfback in the entire game. The first thing you can see from Fabinho is that not only is he a natural in the defensive midfield area, but also centre-back as well. That's an absolute bonus. When we go to his half-back stats, you'll see a lot of them are down the mental column. Things like anticipation, composure, concentration, his decisions and his positioning, all great attributes for a centre-back, which he has. Add to that some technical things, such as his first touch. He's more than a centre-back. He's going to be starting moves off and pinging the ball about a little bit. This is ideal, but he's still got his marking and his tackling. His physicals match up to centre-back as well with the jumping reach and strength particularly. Ideal half-back. Now it's time to find your perfect half-back in-game. And we're going to go to search tab. I'm going to use the attributes. But we've got another way to do it, which we'll get onto next. And it's an interesting way. But for this one, we're going to use the attributes. So we'll go to pick attributes. And we're going to be looking at mostly centre-back ones initially. So we'll go down the mental ones first. We're looking at anticipation, composure, his decision-making, positioning. Those are the ones we're going to focus on first. Physicals next. All I want here is jumping reach. We'll worry about the others in a bit. The jumping reach is key. Next is technicals. Remember, you want him to start the ball off, moving the ball around. So we'll go for first touch, passing, bit of marking and tackling. Now that's 9 I've selected. That's quite a lot. Same problem as the Mezzala video. I've gone for the perfect halfback. Doesn't look like he exists unless it's Fabinho, who's already at the club and got in the game. So we've got 0, so we need to filter some down a bit. So we either take a few of these attributes off manually, or we go to our match tab. I've gone for 9 out of 9. Let's drop it down to 6 out of 9. And just by pressing 6 out of 9, we've got a rake of players. Now, they're not in positions. You can see strikers have popped up. Defenders, centre-backs have popped up. We'll have a look at the positions we want first, which is the defensive midfielder. So we go to edit search and we'll go down to position. We'll press that one there, press OK. And then our positions come up. And there we go. We've got a shorter list now. Now, the second way to find your perfect halfback is a funky little one I like to do. You got a little sneak preview of it then. Let's have a look. So we've got our search bar there. We've got all attributes in and the position. Now, if we take that position off, rakes more players come in. Rakes. I want you to look at centre-back. So we've got centre-backs coming down this list with Laporte, they've Diverge. There's quite a few popping up now. Pavard, Bastoni. Clicked on Bastoni and you can't tell me that those attributes can't combine into a half-back role. With a bit of retraining, you're going to get the perfect half-back from your centre-back. What you're looking for is a ball-playing defender, basically. We've got him highlighted. Those are the roles. You remember the half-back attributes? Very, very similar. There's just a few more defensive ones. So in theory, Bastoni should be the perfect halfback. Get him into training, development, retrain him as a halfback. Couple of months, he's there. In match example time. Now, as we defend here, I've got Fabinho highlighted there, right next to the ref. Now look where he's going. He's going in between, in this area, in between Van Dijk and Matip. So he's going to cover there, allowing Matip to come out to the right-hand side as Trent is higher up the pitch. When the wing-back is in position, like Alexander-Arnold is now, Fabinho can act more like a traditional midfielder, defensive midfielder, cutting out attacks. You can see the back four there are pretty in a good line. Fabinho's just in front of them. What I also like about the half-back role, and why I prefer to use a half-back as opposed to a extra centre-back, is when there's no one to mark, and there's already players back there, your half-back will go forward. As we see here, the ball's forward, there's no one to mark, and the one person there is to mark, there's 4 players around him, so he doesn't just sit back, he does go forward. As you can see, he offers an attacking outlet on the edge of the box. He won't go much further than that, but rather than just sit back here with the other defenders, he does go forward a bit. Another good example here, you can see there's 2 players back there, Van Dijk and Matip, the 2 centre-backs. your halfback is just in front. So he's not a centre back, he doesn't sit there, back there. He does go in front and he contributes. So you need him to be decent on the ball. As the ball comes back to him there, that's his position. Fabinho looks up, plays it simple. Now look at his first movement. He's on the way back to cover. So he's not going to go too far forward. He's going to make sure that these two back here are alright. The ball comes out to Trent Alexander-Arnold at wing back. You can see Fabinho as the halfback is in the perfect position there. In a period of transition, Fabinho drops back to act as the second centre back as Van Dijk makes his way back. So now we do have our back four there and Van Dijk coming back. So Fabinho has done his job again as the halfback, covering Van Dijk's ass basically. When he gets back in position, Fabinho moves back into the additional defensive midfield role just in front of the back two. From defensive movements, you can see there you've got centre back 1 and centre back 2. Now look at your wing backs way wide, so Fabinho drops in the gap, allowing your two centre backs to be a bit wider, covering each area there. Decent stuff. Attacking movement, Alexander-Arnold way high on the right hand side, left wing back way high on the left hand side. So Fabinho sits there, he's ready to drop back there, allowing two centre backs to cover both areas if Liverpool lose the ball in this area. Final little defensive clip, there's Fabinho in between the two centre backs. Alexander-Arnold's just took the throw. The other wing back is way high because we've got them really aggressive for the purpose of this video. As we play it on, Salah plays it to Alexander-Arnold. So now they're really high up. Salah and the wing back are combining. Fabinho sticks tight to the striker, allowing the two centre backs to cover. So as the ball plays on, Alexander gets right down the right. Now, the cover is in. He's happy. He's decided he doesn't need to do the cover so he can contribute further up the park. Salah lays it back to Fabinho, who pumps in from long range. Setting off an attacking movement, Alexander-Arnold has the ball, given to him by the goalkeeper. Fabinho there drops. Look at him drop in between the two centre-backs. So now you've got a nice back-free scenario where your wing-backs are able to pump on forward. Matip finds Fabinho, lays it across to Virgil van Dijk, who's now acting like a wide centre-back. He lays it off to Gomez, who's playing at left wing-back, and the movement goes. So I've got my forwards now backed up by two wing-backs, and Fabinho sits there as your third centre-back, thanks to the half-back role. Fabinho's average positions now in that last match. This is the first one up here, average possession without the ball. So without the ball, we're expecting our half-back to drop in between the centre-backs. There you can see it. Drop it in there right in the middle with the ball. So he's going to be a bit more aggressive, steps a bit forward. So you can see the difference between the two. Meaning his average position is right in the middle there for the 90 minutes. Seeing the halfback in action will hopefully give you some ideas on how you can use the halfback role. Yes, it's a defensive role, but it can really help your attacking setup by unleashing all your other players and providing a bit of extra cover. That's the second Neuer role in the can. The halfback joins the Mezzala. We're going to work our way through them. If you want to see one nudged up the list, I do have a list. It's building. But if you want to see yours nudged up the list, let me know down below. And let me know if you've had any joy with the halfback in either FM21 or already in FM22.